I'm Dave Butler, and I write novels. Today I'm going to give you my top 5 tips for writing science fiction and fantasy. Tip number 1 is this: know your awesomeness. At its heart, all writing, no matter what you're writing, is an awesomeness transaction. The writer, for her part or his part, delivers awesomeness, and the reader delivers attention. Money, if there is any, is a byproduct. So you as the writer, it's incumbent on you to know what the nature of your awesomeness is, and that will be a function of who your audience is and what your genre is, and it will also affect your marketing. Know what they expect. Is it exploding airships? Is it heartfelt romance? Is it monsters with their flesh dripping off? Know your awesomeness. Tip number 2 is take a broken world. In any fiction, but especially in science fiction and fantasy, it's not just the protagonist or the secondary characters who heal and have a journey, it's the world itself. The world has to start out sick. It has to start out broken. Think about Narnia, frozen in the winter of the White Witch, or Middle-earth with its corrupted rings and its defector wizards and threatened by Sauron. Or think about, to take a more recent example, the 13 districts sending their youth to Capital City to fight to the death, right? Take a broken world. Tip 3, add an imperfect hero. First of all, your protagonist has to have a journey. If your hero doesn't also grow, then there is no story. So you have to give your hero room to grow. They start with a flaw, they start with a fear, with a weakness. But the other thing is this: your heroes are not interesting because of their powers. No matter how high-powered a genre you're working in, superhero or epic fantasy, the hero is interesting because of her weaknesses, because of her flaws. Without kryptonite, Superman's not interesting. You have to have an imperfect hero to have an interesting story. Tip number 4, make your villain great too. First of all, the villain's motivation is important. The villain's motivation should not just come from a desire to be the villain. The villain wants to live up to somebody's legacy, or the villain wants to fix what the villain perceives as a problem. The villain has an interesting motivation. The second thing is, you got to make your villain bad, and you got to make your villain bad up front. The best scene in all 6 Star Wars movies is the scene where Darth Vader shows up. He's captured Princess Leia's ship, and what does he do? He kills a guy immediately with his bare hands. And then Darth Vader does nothing for 3 movies. But we think of him as being dark and evil and terrible because the first thing he did was he walked on screen and he killed a man with his bare hands. Give your villain motivations and make them bad from the very minute they show up. Tip number 5 is this: find the exciting journey. Maybe this is something that happens to you in editing, but the more you think about it up front, the better off you are. Whatever journey your hero goes through, find the exciting part of it. Start with as little time as possible between where we open and where the thing happens that makes the hero start her quest. When the action's over, when the biggest climax has ended, the story's over. And in between, you want to make sure that each new climax is more exciting than the one before. This is why the Star Wars movies always end with blowing up the Death Star, right? If you start with blowing up the Death Star, then the Jawas and the Sand People and Mos Eisley are boring. It's important to have your climaxes in the right order. That keeps the journey exciting. My name's Dave Butler, and I write novels, and in particular fantasy and science fiction novels. This is a piece of advice I would give to a young writer. All right, 2 things. 1 is keep writing. Write a lot. Your great advantage is you have many years ahead of you in which to write thousands and thousands and millions of words, and that's how you'll become expert. And the other piece of advice is this: get beat up. You're going to get kicked to the curb, you're going to get betrayed, you're going to lose your faith, and you're going to find it again. You're going to lose things that were precious to you and never recover them. And all of that stuff is grist for the mill. All of that is what's going to ultimately make you a mature writer. So eat it up. Go out there and live life and never stop writing.